everybody, it's Kairos doing a VOD review today for Rammus, pretty sure Gold 4 right now. So we're just checking it out, gonna address any notes directly to him. So let's see, looking at lanes, you got the top lane, both of them took Ignite, and I think that's a good snowball lane to focus because the Yorick will outscale the Quinn. And then mid lane, it's melee versus melee, so it's pretty volatile, but you have to play around Akali cooldowns. One thing real quick, this ward isn't going to get you anything because the Kha'Zix doesn't level 3 gank, or doesn't level 2 gank, and so this isn't really going to catch him. So try to get this closer to a camp to try and get some value out of that, because I know you're trying to get the trinket reset there of that trick, which is good. Make sure that you're getting at least a little bit of value out of that ward, because this just won't get you anything. And I think after kind of identifying lanes, to snowball top is really big, so I would prefer a blue buff start. So blue buff up to red buff, Krugs to get 3, and then go up into gank top lane, because you have 2 ignites, you have 2 3 CC abilities between the two of you. I think that'd be a much better path versus full clearing your top side. I know you're looking for something specific, but I think it's important to kind of identify changes that you should make to your path depending on, you know, lanes. And Kha'Zix does a good job of hiding his clear, of hiding his start, because bot lane shows and then Yorick shows, but bot lane was a little late coming out too, so you could assume that he started blue, but it's not 100%. So Echo goes in for a fight here. This would have been a really good gank if he didn't die before. I'm not sure if you get the trade back here. Unfortunately, Kha'Zix did a weird path. So this is where you should identify that he only has blue buff as you're fighting him. So that means that he hasn't cleared his red buff yet. And so this wave is actually alright. Echo is coming back, and so he's going to be back in lane first. And Kha'Zix, he's sticking around. So I like waiting to go for the kill, because honestly, if he doesn't jump away, if he doesn't have jump up or flash up, then he dies here. So I think this is good, but I would more aim that towards exiting towards the bot side, because you know that his red buff is up. Also, you could probably assume that he's done top camps. He has 12 CS, so I would just assume that Kha'Zix is going to do the Gromp, because he really likes single target camps. So I would just assume he hasn't cleared either of these two, and so it'd be really good if you could just walk towards bot lane, because right now you don't really have any incentive to come up top lane, because you know that his blue is gone, you know that all 3 of your camps up here are gone, and so your only option after this is to go up into the top lane, and that's possible, but not the most kind of likely gank up here. Although I think you could have done it with Yorick being low on mana. So now you cleared towards top, and then you have to come back down here anyway. I would have loved to see you go for this invade, get the red buff, actually punish Kha'Zix for staying on the map, because he did stay. You couldn't see it, but just getting in his face, using your health advantage, knowing that Akali isn't back in lane yet, that could have been really impactful there. Yeah, this is a good gank probably for summoners or something like that. Yeah, it's just opportunistic of identifying that they were over pushed. Yeah, I don't think that anything happens with her. So I'm trying to look at my notes here. Yeah, this is a decent recall timer. You have 1160. I would have taken a little bit off that wave so you could get the boots as well without waiting. I would have taken probably that cannon to make sure that you get the boots quicker. And if you ate that wave, you also could have gotten the control ward anyway. Let's see. So right here, this lane state, so let's look at that. You should look at this every time that you're leaving base. This is pushing towards them. If you had crashed this wave, that might have been good. They totally entered the Jinx by just trying to dive her. And then up here, this is crashed, and actually Kha'Zix has some incentive to come up here and maybe try to make a play, and so this is decent. And also it's really big that you got the Cinder, so you can start clearing any of the camps that you want. but I kind of like clearing back towards bottom to abuse the summoner advantage that you just generated down there. And if you look bot, as you're doing this, you notice this wave crashed, and so it's going to be bouncing back out towards them pretty soon. And so this is a really efficient clear right here. If you look at, hey, I want to be down here pretty soon, and I can clear 1, 2, 3 camp, go straight in there. Scuttle is also going to be spawning. This is where you want to be. And so you don't really need to waste time in mid lane looking for anything special. Echo's just kind of doing his thing. And also this is pushing back into the Quinn, and so Quinn's going to be safe for the time being if they just let it, push in. If they keep shoving it, then it's their fault if they get ganked and die. This gank felt a little bit forced. She's full health and she has all of her cooldowns up, so it's really low probability. I would understand that if you just did that as like a transition gank into the bot side. But it's not really going to work out, so I just like that as a transition gank. But then going up, you lost some momentum heading up there. And there's no way you could have known that Kha'Zix was taking your blue buff until right now. So this is where he shows on the ward. We'll just play it a few seconds, and you see they're already doomed. So they're already done. He's coming in here. And I think your reaction is good. We just need to change the sequencing here. So you see that this is a huge wave. Jinx is shoving it. Kha'Zix is going to Drake. You don't want to contest, but you do want to catch this wave. And so you recognize that, but you should skip the Gromp and come straight here, because this wave isn't going to hit. It's not going to catch it in front of the turret. So you should skip the Gromp because it takes too long, and come up here and catch all of the XP. You end up coming a little bit late, and you lose, I think, 3 melees and the cannon. So that's quite a bit of gold, quite a bit of XP to the turret, which if you did this in reverse order, you could have gotten the whole wave, then you could have come back and the Gromp would still be there. So the idea is correct. And right here, and so just change up the sequencing. Now the next thing is you started to channel your back, and that was the right move. 100% you should have finished that recall. And I think this was had a pretty big impact on the game. This was kind of a turning point. Because you have nothing on this side of the map. There's no camps up. Scuttle's gone for sure. Drake is gone for sure. You can take a recall and be back in your jungle by 7 minutes flat, just about. So you could actually come up, depending on the lane states, if you have priority here and here, you can go and you can pressure his blue buff in this situation. Echo has Ignite up. Quinn has Ignite up. If they have pressure and if they don't recall, then you can just come into the enemy jungle and put pressure on the map. But instead, if you waste time, you won't have that tempo and you won't be able to get back out. You might be able to recall and just come take your red, but and then look for other plays on the top side. But walking over there, which I think you do, is a pretty poor use of time at this point. Watch this from the beginning. This isn't a great use of time. Ezreal is still catching the wave over here. He doesn't want to move over to this yet, so it's really just you and Thresh, and it's a pretty low probability play when you compare that to what else you could be doing. So we are at 7:15. If Ezreal and Thresh are able to stop back, you could be on his blue buff right now. You could be clearing his full topside jungle. And so this is a pretty big overstay because you don't want to be on this side of the map. You don't want to be over here because there's nothing for you. And Thresh, he's inting. We'll ignore that. And then you end up walking all the way across your jungle to get to here. And I timed it out. And if you had just reset from right here at, I think it was 7:42, you could have backed and come out and you would have spent your 1100 gold. So you could have had 1100 gold. You finish, you get boots and you get your jungle item easily. And you could have been back on the map with full strength. because right now you are relatively weak compared to Kha'Zix. He's only sitting on 300 gold versus you sitting on 1100 gold. So he's just spent way more of his gold. So you're behind him. He's got the jungle item, 2 long swords. You're just gonna feel weaker for the time being. That play doesn't happen if you had reset and come into the top side. So you're just behind on tempo after that play. You spent a lot of time on the bot half. So after this, you're going to have to recall because you're on, it's going to be like 1,500 some gold. All of your top camps are gone. Your bottom camps have respawned. And so the way that you're pathing right now kind of tells me that you're trying to play around your bot lane, which it should be the opposite. So you should be pathing, starting your clear on bot side, and then heading up into top side when you're ready to gank and when you're ready to be impacting the map. Because now your only option is to go back down towards bottom, and those aren't that's not necessarily the lane that you want to be playing towards. With 5-0 Jinx, your Ezreal is 0-2. They somehow win this, but that's just a misplay by Jinx. And this is I'm pretty sure another important part. So right here, bot lane just died. So they won't be back on the map for 40 seconds or something like that. What you need to do in this situation is path out of the corner. So this is the corner. This is pretty much, if you start here and then you path towards Gromp, you are stuck on this half of the map. And there's no Gromp to take, there's no lane to gank, there's no Drake. There's really nothing you can do on this half. And so what you need to do is start on the Gromp and then path up to the Wolves and then exit towards the top side where you can impact the lanes up there. Because this pathing is going to result in you wasting like 20-25 seconds pretty much. So we'll just look, if you took that alternative path, you'd probably be done clearing Raptors right now and be headed up in towards top side. You could prevent him from dropping the Rift Herald, and this is the side of the map you want to be on. You might have been able to prevent the Quinn from dying. I'm not 100%, but playing towards top, I think it would be much better here. This is pretty low probability since she has all of her cooldowns up, so just be tracking her cooldowns to know when you can get away with that and when you can't. And if you had been up here, you prevent this, and we'll just look at the gold difference real quick. Right now Yorick has 1,300 gold, and we'll look at it in a second. You're just clearing, and then you're going to go try and gank this. And right now, he has 2,600 gold. That is a huge swing. That's a 1,400 gold swing of how much stronger he is now versus what he was at before. And we already established that he outscales the Quinn, and so it's kind of doomed in top lane. And so that's why it was important to try and get the Quinn snowballing early, because that was kind of just handed over to the Yorick, and now he has a huge gold lead. Alright, so now you are resetting. I would have preferred a reset if you are trying to contest the Drake. We'll just assume that you are. You do have the Echo coming back on the map. The Thresh and Ezreal are available, even though I think it's a little bit bad to contest right now, but there's no other play on the map, unfortunately. That I would have preferred to see a reset before you took Krugs. I don't think that you gain anything. So if you backed at 1130, you could be around to contest this. And you don't really gain anything by clearing the Krugs. Let's see what your gold. Right now you're at 876. We'll just call it 850. Versus 1050, so that's an extra 200 gold, and I don't think it's going to make a difference, but it does cost you time. Oh, it does make a difference. I guess you get to finish your Thorn Mail. So in that case, you just clear it, and then you don't contest it, and you ping them off of it. This is one of those scenarios where if you had backed It might have been a little bit better, but did you need the Thorn Mail? I would prefer a reset. Instead of taking Krugs, knowing the Drake timing, you might have been able to get something out of that. I think it's kind of unlikely just with how far away the game is at this point. So what you should be thinking about now is just how you can get back into the game, which is through getting picks. And to get picks, you need to set up vision. And to set up vision, you need to have a little bit of control. So play around the areas that you have control around. Get vision and set up picks, because your team is really good for picks with you, Thresh, Ezreal. This is really good punishing the overstay by the bot lane. So it's a good Lantern. Really solid hook. He almost redeems himself, but not really. And that's a good pick. Then Kha'Zix is there, and so I would shove this in and help take that turret. And this is a good idea to kind of hover around mid and make sure that the Echo doesn't get killed. You could potentially have a 2v2. And down here, this is doomed. And so instead of trying to contest this part of the map, just trust that Ezreal can get away and go up towards the top. Akali is not your ideal target. And since you showed on the bottom side of the map, you should just assume that the Kha'Zix is doing this. Assume that a good jungler is going to take the objective that's up on the other half of the map, because more often than not, they will be doing that. And they're stalling your back, so there's no way you could ever contest. Yep, that's a bummer. Nice dodge. It's pretty tough to come back into this game at this point. But like I said, playing around picks is the way back. I like this this gank setup. There's no camps on top side, so you are forced down in the bot lane. They should know that, and they should respect you, since they already got punished on this play once before. But this is a good setup. You take a really good angle, which I noticed, that you come over here instead of channeling from this side, so you get the better angle before initiating the gank. So that's really well done. This turns out really close. Good CC chain. Thresh almost dies, but he doesn't. And then again, push in, take that turret. Help him out. This Gromp. Actually, I remember this one. Yeah, you want to cover that. Instead of taking the Gromp, just head over here. That's a lot of XP. Same idea as before. And the next thing you should be thinking about is this Drake spawning. So you should catch this wave, and you should be concerned about recalling and getting back on the map. That's really close. She's just too far ahead at this point, unfortunately. If she had like 1 or 2 less kills, that would definitely be a 1 fight for you. But with the health that you have right now, if you're going to contest this, the third Drake, you have to reset. You have to get back out there and contest, or you give it. But these have to be conscious decisions. I feel like these are things that you're just doing kind of instinctively, but you should build that into your thought process of when do I need to back, understanding the timer of when you have to be around to defend objectives. Because if you wanted to contest this, you wouldn't be clearing Raptors. And so now if you go over to contest it, this is just a waste of time. Commit to farming if you're going to give it, or if you're not in position to contest. Yep, that's a good pick, and that's how you should be kind of playing around it, is looking for the picks around vision. I'm going to go a little bit faster, because I think a lot of the changes that you could make were in the early game. And so we'll go a little bit faster through this. But that's exactly how you should be playing. Unfortunately, you're really far behind. That's why it's just a little bit difficult at this point. So they should set up vision as they leave. Set up vision in the jungle. Yeah, there's a ward. They You just need a ton of that. There you go. This Baron is a good call if you can pull off. I would be looking for the fight. I'd be looking for the engage. And now you have to pull off. Yep, vision control is super important. Rotate up and take that. Oh, man. There you go, got that kill. And it'd be good to just back up, take this objective to get just a little bit more map control. Those are free structures. He's out. That you should be able to take. Then finally, this Drake. Drake, again, is coming up soon. Just always have that timer. Always know when you have to be able to contest that. And you want to play a little bit more conservatively around those timers. If it's like a minute and a half until Drake spawns, you want to play differently. You want to play more safe. It's a really good pick. You're playing around vision. You're doing a good job of getting back into the game and of staying relevant. And so now you kind of see the flip side of that. The Kazakhs wasn't ready for the fight. They weren't ready for the fight. They didn't have vision set up, and so you guys got to pick on them. If that had gone the other way around, if you guys weren't on time for the Drake, then it would probably be GG already. So we'll look at this upcoming Baron fight, and then we'll probably call it there. So they have 2 dead. Jinx is still alive. She has no flash. Okay, so you dive. Nice. Just go to the Baron. I understand like getting mid priority, but you're fighting death timers. So you gotta use the window while it's open. Yeah, that was way closer than it should have been. If you had gone straight there, I'm not saying that it's a completely different outcome, but it would have been a little bit cleaner. Oh, that's weird that you didn't... Spike ball didn't hit her. Nice, there you go. I think you need to reset. You got 2100. Yeah, reset while you're... this guy's going to be coming back on the map. Because if you stay on the map, you have a bunch of unspent gold. And now he's going to be back on the map, and now you don't want to back. Because your whole team is ready to fight, and you have 2400 gold that you're sitting on. So, especially after Baron, and especially in late game, back with your team. Yeah, they should have grouped with you, but you should group on them. If they aren't coming to you, and again, 2,500 gold. It's quite a bit of unspent. So a lot of that comes back to reset timers. Yeah, you're really hard to kill, but it's pretty hard to fight at this point. I'm going to stop there because I think there's another like 10 minutes of just chaos and throws back and forth. And that all comes down to team fighting and how you're grouping and how you're pressuring the map. But I would say that the major takeaways for you in this game are, first off, to know what side of the map you want to play on. So this game was much better to play topside, to just let the Ezreal and Thresh scale, to just kind of deny that, and to try and get the Quinn snowballing, get the Echo maybe moving around the map, indirectly attacking the Akali because she's a hard hard gank. And so I think pathing towards the top side of the map would have helped out a lot, especially after the Jinx was 5-0. It's better to avoid that, to just cut your losses, to try and gain advantages somewhere else, because you're never going to dig the Ezreal Thresh out of that hole, unless the other team throws really hard, which you can't count on. And then, and so path towards the side of the map that you want to be on, instead of pathing into corners or just pathing into dead space of like a side that you can't gank, that you don't have camps up, that there's no objective. Just avoid that and path away from that side of the map. And then also Drake timer is really big. If you are contesting it, if you're strong enough, if you have cooldowns, if you have your teammates available, make sure that you're resetting with like 35 seconds left before the Drake spawns. You got caught a lot of times of having a really late back, not being able to contest, not being able to get vision control, which this team specifically needed vision control to set up picks to get advantages, because a straight 5v5 is a lot harder for you guys than if you get a pick, and then it makes it way easier to secure the Drake. So those are the main things. I hope that this is really helpful, and yeah, see you next time.
This is the boy I am.